Welcome to Montgomery's Inn, one of Toronto's most historic and most fascinating buildings. This home and tavern tells the story of the Montgomery family, their community, and the countless lives that passed through here over nearly 2 centuries. Today, we'll explore every corner of the inn, from the main floor kitchens to the upstairs bedrooms and even the assembly rooms where locals once gathered. Thomas and Margaret Montgomery were Irish immigrants who met and married in Upper Canada. They had this building erected in 1830 to serve as both their family home and their place of business. Margaret bore 7 children, but only two, Robert and William, survived through adulthood. Following Margaret's death in 1855, Thomas discontinued operating the building as an inn. He continued to run the farm on the property, leasing out most of the building to tenants, while keeping a small portion for himself. Thomas remained here until he passed away in 1877. After the inn closed in 1855, the building was divided into smaller living spaces and rented to tenants. A photograph from 1900 shows Montgomery's Inn with its pebble-dashed stucco exterior applied in 1838 when the wings were added. The finished corners gave the illusion of cut stone. This surface was removed in 1967, revealing the rough stone underneath. The farmland was also subdivided and rented to tenant farmers, at first mostly of European origin. Later, from the 1920s through the 1940s, several generations of Chinese market gardeners lived in the old inn, growing fresh produce on the surrounding land. Throughout the 20th century, the inn served many purposes: a home, a church, a nursery school, and finally, in 1975, it became the museum we know today. Before the museum opened, extensive restoration work was done to return the building to its authentic appearance. Very few original Montgomery objects survived. The furnishings you see today are donated or purchased pieces of Canadian, American, or English origin, chosen to reflect the lifestyle of a 19th century middle-class Irish farm family. Where antiques were unavailable or too fragile, reproductions were used. As you walk through the building, imagine this. The kitchen was part of the East Wing addition of 1838 along with the tavern, the assembly room, and the upstairs lodging rooms. Margaret Montgomery likely oversaw this space, but she had help. The 1852 agricultural census listed for servants Thomas Kengley, William Ringwood, Mary Layton, and 9-year-old Mary Hamilton. Margaret and her helpers prepared meals for customers, family, and farm laborers right here. Before 1838, the kitchen had been located in the basement. This room contains the tools and ingredients used in 19th century cooking. The tavern was a place where travelers, local farmers, and residents gathered to drink, eat, and socialize. In 19th century Ontario, anyone wanting to sell beer, wine, or spirituous liquors needed an innkeeper's license. An inn was required to have 3 beds for travelers, a drive shed for animals and vehicles, and hot meals available on request. In 1833, Thomas Montgomery paid £7, 10 shillings for his license. His account books show he sold a wide range of drinks. Beer and whiskey, the most popular, sold for 2 pennies a glass, roughly $4 today. He also sold meals, cheese and crackers, tobacco and pipes. The bar cage you see here is typical of the period, built to protect the alcohol. Evidence of the original cage was uncovered by scraping through layers of paint, revealing the outline of the cornice, the shape of the baseboard, and the original counter height. This room was a gathering place for the community, where news was shared and neighbors met, but not everyone was welcome. Indigenous people were barred from purchasing alcohol under the Indian Act of 1835, excluding them from settler social spaces. At times, Thomas Montgomery seemed to ignore this law. His account books list at least three indigenous people as both employees and patrons before the East Wing addition. This room likely served as the bar room, dining room, and general public room all in one. A typical meal here included fried meat, boiled vegetables, pickles, wheat bread, and a cup of tea. Meals cost 1 shilling and 2 pence, and often included produce grown on the farm. Food was expensive compared to accommodations, because labor-intensive farming drove costs up over the years. The household included many farm workers, one of the most notable being Joshua Glover, a man who escaped enslavement and reached Canada through the Underground Railroad. Joshua worked here for nearly 20 years, rented a cabin from Thomas, married, and became a lifelong friend of the Montgomerys. Farming and settlement allowed people like Joshua to live freely, but it also changed the land forever, clearing forests, displacing native plants, harming wildlife, and draining creeks and ponds. Local musician Jason Wilson and his friends recreated a lively tavern scene right inside the inn, complete with historic clothing. For the cover of his play concert album Summa Cruz, the project draws on real stories from Upper Canada, and the setting helps bring those stories to life. This room contains the highest quality, most up-to-date furniture, and was the only one wallpapered during the Montgomery's time. The original wallpaper, installed in 1846, did not survive. The paper you see today is a reproduction of a mid-Victorian Rococo revival pattern. The room is furnished as a typical middle-class sitting room. The Montgomerys may have used it to gather in the evening, receive guests, or as a female sphere, distinct from the more male-dominated tavern and bar parlor. Many inns of this era included a back corner bar parlor. These quieter rooms allowed visitors to enjoy meals or drinks away from the noisier public spaces. As you exit this room, cross the hall into the dining room. A section of plaster has been removed to expose an original window filled in during the 1838 addition. Next, make your way upstairs. A country tavern scene, painted around 1820 by John Lewis Crimmel, gives us a vivid glimpse of everyday life at the time. Notice the wide variety of people in the scene. One surprising detail is the presence of women and children. They were not just passing through, they were regulars. Early inns were extensions of the household, so women and children were present as family members, domestic workers, and sometimes as patrons. This room was likely the primary bedroom. Its size and location suggest it belonged to Thomas and Margaret. It is furnished to reflect the tastes of a successful business couple. When Margaret died in 1855 at age 47, Thomas did not renew his innkeeper's license. Wives were typically the main source of domestic labor in inns. Without Margaret, the inn simply couldn't operate. This room has its own ensuite bathroom, though it isn't a separate room. Can you find the commode chair? The attached slip room may have served as a child's bedroom. It was created in 1838 when one large room was divided into two. Margaret experienced heartbreaking loss. 5 of her children died very young. Olivia lived only 5 days. Richard, 12 days. James Henry, 5 months. Margaret Ann, 2 months. And John passed away at just 11 years old. Infant mortality was high in the 19th century. Toronto cemetery records show that between the 1850s to the 1890s, over 40% of all recorded deaths were infants under 1 year old. Exit the bedroom and cross the hall. Upper bar parlor rooms like this were private gathering places for gentlemen, quiet club-like spaces where a select group might share a meal, drinks, and conversation late into the night. Why do you think women were excluded? When the inn was restored to reflect the years 1845 to 1850, conservators scraped through layers of old paint to uncover its original color scheme. These test patches, like the one between the fireplace and the door, were left exposed. Each layer reveals a piece of the inn's history. Inns were meeting places for dances, concerts, and local government gatherings. But unlike the tavern downstairs, this assembly room hosted special occasions. The inn also served as Orange Lodge Local 138, a large Protestant men's organization named after William of Orange. Their members held many positions of power in Toronto, including the police and municipal government. But the Orange Order was not open to everyone. They discriminated against Catholics and opposed immigration by racialized groups. Later, the building was used by tenant farmers. From 1922 to 1945, many Chinese families lived here, using the land for market gardening. The Chung family lived and worked here during that period. Willie Chung, born in 1937, remembered one especially cold winter when his mother Lily chopped up part of the speaker's box for firewood, just to keep the family warm, although the inn is restored to reflect the Montgomery household. It was a home and gathering place for many groups over many decades. Every room tells a story, from the Montgomery family and their children to the travelers, laborers, and tenants who lived and worked here over nearly 200 years. Thank you for joining this full tour of Montgomery's Inn. Admission is free and the museum is open to the public. Check the schedule below for visiting hours. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.